Hi there, I'm John from CNCKing.com, and today we'll make custom Christmas ornaments using aluminum. As with many of the jobs that we do here at CNCKing.com, when it comes to making large production runs of something, I like to make small little prototype or sample test for the customer to review before we go ahead and do it. The reason for that is a couple-fold. One is, generally the designer sent us the design, and it's the first time they actually see it in physical form. So once you see something in physical form while you're working on it virtually, it gives you more ideas about how to assemble it, how to design it optimally, and also how to sort of tweak any sort of designs that you might see as an issue down the road. Also, production-wise, what you'll notice when we laser cut this out, a lot of these things were actually popping up. So I had to cut the video out quite a bit, just so that you don't see, pause the machine, go ahead and clip it out, take it out, start the machine up again, back and forth. So the way this works is you have this going around, and the customer is going to weld them. So there's 6 sides to it, so it goes all the way around. And we did them in 4 different sizes. I'll just show you the most extreme, large and small. So here's the small one, here's the big one. And of course, the size depends on the price point of the customer and so forth. So now they have a good range, they could assemble 1 of each size, and then based on that, they know exactly how many of which sizes to order. Now, the nice thing about laser cutting aluminum is that there's not a lot of smoke actually produced. We have a good extraction system on the machine, but it's not like cutting stainless steel or mild steel where you have just big puffs of black and soot and stuff like that. It's a relatively clean material to cut. Now, that being said, there's still some dross on the underside, so that's why you'll see afterwards me sanding it. It's just to remove that. What dross is basically melted aluminum, in this case here, that's right at on the underside of where you cut. You get the same thing with every other type of machine as well. You get it with the water jet. Basically, the water jet is not burning through the material. It's sort of pushing and abrading through the material. And as a result, you end up with dross on the other side, but it's caused by a different process. Same difference. Same thing with the router. Sometimes you end up not dross, but it would be something else. Because aluminum is very, very sticky. And that's something that makes it very tricky to cut using a milling machine or a router, because it sticks to the bit and it basically just binds to it. So that's why using a cutting process like this is a lot simpler, and because you don't have anything that can bind to anything. That being said, sometimes it does stick back to it itself. So that's something, again, in consideration, especially when you're doing smaller pieces like this here. If they get stuck, basically you got to pull them out. So even though the cut was perfect, if it raises up just a little bit, because you got to remember you got about 300 psi of air shooting straight down onto the material, and it sticks there, and you want to remove it while it's still a little bit warm, so it's easy to remove. Otherwise, when it's re-solidifies perfectly, it's a lot of trouble to take off, because basically it sort of welded itself back together. So a couple of issues with aluminum that you don't have with other sort of steels to deal with when it comes to cutting them to this resolution. Now, the nice thing about my shop is that we're completely machine agnostic, meaning that we'll make whatever you need using any machine that we have. And in this case here, the laser was the best tool for it. And the reason for that is because it had minimal dross and it's very thin aluminum. This is 16 gauge aluminum. So it's a little bit thinner than, let's say, a credit card. It gives you an idea. So the reason we went with aluminum over stainless steel tends to keep the heat, so it tends to want to warp. Aluminum just stays nice and cool to the touch pretty much all the time. The advantage of laser over, let's say, water jet for this specific project here is that you won't end up with a little vibration that you end up with water jet, and it's a cleaner process as well. But again, water jet has its advantages over laser and so forth. So there's no perfect machine, there's no perfect material. It's the best machine for the best product, for the best material. Everything sort of fits together, and you decide on the best choice forward. Technically, we could also have done this with our CNC router, though I wouldn't. The router is no problem cutting through aluminum. That's not an issue. But you do end up with vibrations with something that's relatively hard, like this here. So if you're looking for a custom, pretty much anything, contact me at CNCKing.com. We'll make it for you and ship it right to your door.